Alright guys, I do not know who was actually justifying, who was building up the whole power level system in Bleach, but damn, it's not going linear. Every next character is not slightly stronger, it's a different league. And you're gonna know what I mean by different league. Let's dive in. But before that, I just want to remind you quickly about the rules what we're having here. So basically we're having a 3 rules which we judging all of our characters' strength, which first of all is if a character can win with another character within one punch, that means the character is twice stronger. If the character can win a fight without fighting seriously, one punch or not, he is 10 times stronger. And if the character can win with a one punch and at the same time not fighting seriously, he's 20 times stronger. In case when we cannot apply any of the rules but the fight is concluded, the winner's minimum strength is gonna be either maximum, minimum or average strength of the guy who loses the fight. It all depends how much wounded is the winner. Let's go back to video now. We have 16 characters here, so we need to make it quick. Bleach! Power levels, yes! Saido is the first character to justify, and I'm gonna go really quick for those characters from the past episodes. Saido fought Shrieker, one of the hollows, yes, and he fought him. The only problem for Chad was that he couldn't see him properly, however his hit was painful for Shrieker. He couldn't beat him up, obviously, even with Rukia assistance. It is too hard to beat, looks like, for Saido, an invisible man. So his minimum strength, I still think if he will be able to see him like everybody else, he would win, which is why I'm gonna give minimum strength exactly as Shrieker's strength, 64. In case of his maximum strength, obviously the fight will go on and Saido will not win with a one punch. There's the rule here. Saido cannot win with a Shrieker with one punch. Means he is not twice stronger than Shrieker. Gives 128 maximum strength, and overall it gives him 96 strength. Ladies and gents, case closed. Then we're gonna go quickly to update Kon, the mad soul inside this Ichigo's body. It's very crucial, it is Ichigo's body because he's also using Ichigo's body strength. Okay, minimum strength remaining the same, 113 strength, which is equal to Ichigo's body. And maximum strength is when he was actually dealing with Ichigo. It turns out that Ichigo is way stronger than Kon's maximum strength because Ichigo could easily win with him, overwhelm him with a kind of strength, however didn't want to inflict any damage because it is his own body, which means maximum strength for Kon will be Ichigo Soul Reaper 155, and that gives, ladies and gents, the average strength for Kon 134. Next one is Invader from the filler, actually, one of the Soul Reaper who was after Rukia. Saido, I don't know, his first name was hard to pronounce it anyway, so I'm gonna keep it as Saido. Same as I did with Chad, because he have Yasutura, I think, something like that name. I'm gonna keep him as Chad as well. Okay, Saido came to the world, human world. He fought Ichigo in his Soul Reaper version, the substitute Soul Reaper, and he was complaining on his strength level. Literally, what I saw there, he will simply won with Ichigo. Means Saido's minimum strength is gonna be Ichigo's average strength, which is 155. In case of his maximum strength, obviously, okay, even though he spoke with him like that, they briefly fought. Means he cannot beat him with a one punch. I don't know if he can release his sword or not, that wasn't shown, but later on in the story, he had the opportunity to do that, he doesn't, which probably he cannot, like Renji does. So his maximum strength will be twice as much as Ichigo, as he cannot exceed that range because he cannot beat Ichigo with a one punch, 310. And that gives average strength of Saido as 233. Again, case closed. Pretty briefly, pretty quickly, job done. Next! Now we are getting to the one of the big, I think the strongest hollows possibly so far, which was shown in those episodes what I have seen, which is Grand Fisher, yes. So his minimum strength is gonna be pretty simple to judge because he was facing basically mainly Ichigo but also Saido when he was interfering. And with Saido I want to focus on because when he finally decided to block the attack or sacrifice himself, whatever, he was hit with his Grand Fisher main attack and was down. Okay, he was sleeping but he was unable to continue fight, which is easy one punch win for the Grand Fisher. Saido being 233 strength, which means Grand Fisher minimum strength 466. Next is gonna be his maximum strength, and now there was a moment when Ichigo and Saido actually tried to rescue the hostages, which Grand Fisher has to lure basically the Soul Reapers, and the Grand Fisher had some problems there. Problems because when he was facing one character, other character got insignificant but was able to land a hit, which means Grand Fisher is incapable, even though he can win with every single one of them with a one punch. Yes, I do believe with Ichigo as well, means he cannot beat all of them at once with a one punch because they are simply too fast. He cannot keep up, he cannot manage, which means if I'm gonna add Saido and Ichigo together and that kind of strength, Grand Fisher he cannot beat with a one punch. 233 plus 155 is 388. Multiply that by 2 gives maximum strength of Grand Fisher, which is 776. And that gives average of 621 strength. Hell strong, 62 times stronger than average hollow. Case closed. Next is Kanonji, the boo-ha-ha-ha guy. Alright, his minimum strength, it was shown with this random hollow. I do believe it was random hollow, and yeah, he was able to technically stop that random hollow for a moment when Ichigo was stuck and he was having a rough time there, and then he was able to use tiny energy to release Ichigo from the bound of that hollow. Means he is at least hollow level if he can produce and destroy hollows, attack hollows, stuff. Means minimum strength of Kanonji I'm gonna put as 10. And in case of his maximum strength, it is still, we saw it clearly, that was a random hollow there and he couldn't beat him up even though he had perfect opportunity. All what he decided to do is to slow him down, to stop him down and release Ichigo instead of just killing him instantly when he had advantage, when hollow doesn't notice him, and then free Ichigo, which means he is not able to do that. And if he was not able to do that, he ain't twice strong than hollow, which means one punch win. That means 10 times 2, 20. 20 his maximum strength, average obviously 15. And I think that's case closed. Kanonji sorted. Next is very hard to pronounce for me, Bulbous, I think something like that, G hollow again. So minimum strength of this Bulbous G is when Chad was actually, when he was fighting Chad, he was chasing Chad, he was attacking, and Chad all of a sudden when he got some kind of clear space, let's call it, he will start attacking back. Also, Chad doesn't see this guy again. This is kind of, tough for Chad. However, he was able to deliver one hit at least. Hit was felt it, but he couldn't beat him down. Means the hollow is stronger than half of Chad's strength because Chad is not able to beat him with a one punch. And Chad being 96 strength gives Bulbous minimum strength of 48. And in case of Bulbous maximum strength, it's exactly opposite scenario. He was chasing Chad, he was attacking, he was trying to stop him, he was trying to kill him. There wasn't even a one attack who could actually accomplish that, which means Bulbous G is not able to beat Chad with a one punch. Means Bulbous maximum strength is 192, and that gives average strength of Bulbous G 120. And just because this is such an insignificant hollow, next case closed. Next character is Boosted Chad again. Yes, because he tapped into some kind of unknown powers. Let's have a grasp of it. So when he change, transformate, transmigrate, whatever will happen to Chad, his hands changed. Then he attacked this hollow. Which one was that? Was, let me quickly see. Yeah, Bulbous G, the hard to pronounce. Even though it took him 2 punches, it's simply because he still was trying to grasp it, but the second one was clearly the devastating one in one blow. I'm gonna boost up a little bit here at Chad because he is just his beginning, so he's eventually gonna be stronger. So I'm gonna give him minimum strength as twice as much as that hollow, like he will win with that hollow within 1 punch. And I think I will not be far off, because when he trained, and he is about to get trained, he will get even better. So it is on the minimum strength, so his minimum strength will greatly improve. And by greatly I mean a lot, because this power level system is kind of broken. So that's that. In case of his maximum strength, I'm not giving him. He's gonna train now. We're gonna see how strong he is. So for now, Chad is 240 plus twice as much as that hollow. Case closed. Quickly, next one is Tatsuki. Tatsuki is the human. She's just a boxer. So when she entered, when Inoue was having a problem, then she quickly deal with those random humans. And I just want to point it out, if hollow is strength of 10, I do believe a random average human will be strength of 1, because we see how the terrible hollow as compared to the human, so they can win with the human, pretty not fighting seriously. So Tatsuki, I'm going, because she dealt with couple of humans, like and by couple I will say like 5 of average. I'm not counting too many because that will be too many. Yeah, so 5, and within 1 punch gives 5, of course, times 2, 10. Her minimum strength is on a hollow level. Kind of, yeah. So minimum strength 10. In case of her maximum strength, I do believe she is not able to beat any kind of hollow within 1 punch, because barehanded, you know, hollow is pretty tough. So her maximum strength of Tatsuki is gonna be 20, twice as much as hollow. That's it, and her average strength nevertheless gonna be 15. Case closed, next character. And the reason why I simply quickly choose Tatsuki, because of this next character, which is Numb Chandelier. I don't know why French hollows all of a sudden appearing anywhere, but I think that's a French name. If not, I'm sorry. His minimum strength is gonna be, because it's a hollow, I believe it's gonna be strength of 10, because I didn't find anything else which point this hollow's minimum strength, so minimum strength of 10. And in case of maximum strength for this hollow, oh, he beat Tatsuki, so he spit on her, he's tried to take over the control. It would actually succeed to the point that it's taking so much time. If that character, I don't know, if we could even get healed or something, run away, I don't know, simply it didn't work straight away. So I'm gonna say it fails beating Tatsuki. And also the other character which was a human, it just only, you know, take over one of their arm. And I don't think so that hollow have more of the attacks, so I'm gonna say that this hollow, I'm not gonna say his name because it's too hard, cannot beat Tatsuki with 1 punch, which give maximum strength of 30. Obviously end up the average strength being 20. That's it, small character, case closed. Next is Inoue, but I'm gonna call it Inoue boosted, because before that boost she was simply strength of 1, but it is irrelevant to write such a thing. So Inoue boosted, which is influenced by Ichigo's spiritual pressure, I do believe, that's what you guys saying, that's what I understand, and all of a sudden she developed some kind of techniques. Her minimum strength is as easy as she can 1 punch this Numb hollow, which almost beats Tatsuki with a strength of 20, so her minimum strength is gonna be 40. In case of her maximum strength, well, she's under training right now, so we don't know. So overall, Inoue is 40 plus. That's it, I'm gonna close the case here, because we're gonna know her strength probably later on. Next is outstanding Menos Grande, ladies and gentlemen. The Grand Fisher was the strongest hollow, yes, because Menos Grande is hundreds of hollows combined, which is no longer a hollow, it's a manticore, I do believe. Manticore in case of Hollows. And yeah, how strong is Menos Grande? Nobody knows. Ichigo got some kind of crazy boost and yeah, send him away. But how actually strong is Menos Grande? Simply because it is hundreds of Hollows combined, I'm gonna do exactly that. So 100 Hollows, because we're talking about minimum strength now, so the minimum number of hundreds is 100. So 100 times 10, because every Hollow is strength of 10, gives 1000. 1000 minimum strength? Simple as. In case of maximum strength of Menos Grande, it says hundreds, not thousands. That's my take on it. Maybe when he will show some kind of fight ability we will see more, but it's because of thousands, it's more than hundreds. 1000 is probably more than hundreds. That's what I do believe. It could be tricky there, however we can adjust that later on. So 1000 Hollows multiplied by 10, obviously, because every Hollow is strength of 10, gives 10,000 maximum strength. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it as that. I think it is already overpowered enough, so if we were gonna have some kind of better justification, hell, let's do it. For now, I'm gonna leave it as it is, and I do believe it is a pretty good fit, and you're gonna know at the end of the video probably why. So yeah, that gives average strength of Menos Grande as 5500 strength. Yes, case closed, and yes, that's the strongest character for now. Next character. Quickly, it's gonna be Ishida. It's not much to say. Ishida can beat a couple of Hollows at the same time with his proficiency of attacking with a serious attack. So that's gonna be one punch wins. Bunch of I'm gonna call 5. Again, the same direction. So 5 times 10 is 50, and one punch win 100. Minimum strength of Ishida it's gonna be 100. That's also like a beating one Hollow without fighting seriously. Simple as. However, in case of his maximum strength, I'm saying that he is not able to beat a Hollow without fighting seriously with a one punch. Because how he is gonna do it if his main weapon is this bow and arrow? If he gonna fight with a fist and seriously, you think he can beat a Hollow? Probably not. So I'm gonna give Ishida maximum strength as 20 times Hollow, 200. And that gives Ishida's average strength as 150, pretty similar to Kurosaki, who have 155. And yeah, duel, who's stronger? Okay, even though in case of strength, Kurosaki is stronger, but in case of efficiency, obviously Ishida winning that duel. Also, we saw Kurosaki blocking Ishida's attack. So who won the duel? Obviously Ishida. Who is stronger? I do believe this is Ichigo. Case closed. And now, ladies and gents, we need to start the crazy shit. But to understand it properly, I'm gonna go step by step. You're gonna know what I mean in a moment. So first step is Renji's minimum strength. A minimum only for now, so it's not gonna be any plus, it's just a pure number from where Renji's powers starts. And that's pretty easy because he fought in quotes, really, Ishida. Renji basically won off-screen. By off-screen means he is literally 20 times stronger, which means he won without fighting seriously, and we know he wasn't fighting seriously because of his blade, it doesn't change. And Renji was unfazed, not scratched, nothing. So Renji is 20 times Ishida, Ishida is 150 times 20 is 3,000, ladies and gents. That's Renji's minimum strength, which not gonna change, period. And then we're gonna go to the main character, which is Kurosaki Ichigo, but this gonna be with Rukia's awakened powers, that I like to call it, because finally he tapped again into those powers which send away the Menos Grande. So yeah, that kind of strength, I don't know if he can do it again or not again, but at this time we can justify that, and technically we can forget because we know what happened. He literally lost those powers, but this is the last call to justify that, so I'm gonna do it. In case of his minimum strength, when he tapped to these powers, not at the very beginning when he was strength of 150 fighting Renji, because that was one-sided fight literally, but when he tapped into that strength he was able to scratch Renji, means he is at least his level. He would want the fight if Renji will not go all out and change his sword. So he will want the fight. So I'm gonna use minimum strength as Renji's minimum strength, because that kind of power before he turned his sword into whatever what that was. And yeah, he would eventually beat him. So Ichigo's minimum strength is gonna be 3000. In case of his maximum strength, and that's the thing, because when he scratched him, he could actually kill him. Possibly, possibly not, and I'm sure of it because Renji wasn't fighting seriously. Somehow he will avoid that for the final blow. He would be wounded, maybe fine, but then he will go fight seriously, and things will change. I'm sure of it that Ichigo in Renji's minimum strength cannot beat him with one punch, which is 6000. And that gives average strength of Ichigo as 4500. That's gonna be case closed. So next character is gonna be Renji, full justification. Minimum strength is gonna be exactly as I thought, because I said it's not gonna change. I'm not gonna change Renji's minimum strength for Ichigo's, awakened powers, because that will just go with a circle. And I don't want that to happen. I can change Renji's minimum strength if he will fight different character than Ichigo. Then yes, then we can adapt and shrink down, narrow down the range. No problem. But not with Ichigo. This is kind of, hidden rules that, you're not justifying one character of another and then another character go back to this character justified again. No, because that's a repetitive circle, which I don't want it, because I will eventually either increasing or decreasing to infinity. No, that's not gonna work. So always has to be different character. So Renji's minimum strength remaining the same, 3000. In case of his maximum strength, we can justify it here because I didn't use maximum strength at all in case of Ichigo, so we can use that. So when and this is basically different Renji, because this is not Renji with a normal blade, this is with a transform blade. So it is like we can treat it as even different character, because different tapped off different kind of powers, right? So maximum strength of Renji is gonna be when he hit with that sword to Ichigo. Ichigo kind of blocked it, but still injured fatal wounds. However, he was cautious to such a degree that he can tap into something completely imaginable. So simply because of that, I'm gonna say that Renji doesn't beat Ichigo with one punch, because Ichigo is alive and he was attempting, he wanted literally to kill Ichigo. So Renji's maximum strength, 4500 times 2, 9000, gives Renji's average strength and final strength of 6000, ladies and gents. And this is already getting crazy, because the numbers what we're getting here compared to the numbers, the beginning of the anime are literally 10 times stronger. And yeah, this is nothing. Grand Fisher, the guy who beat so many Soul Reapers, really now? So okay, he's lieutenant, maybe he's somewhat higher up, I don't know yet, but apparently it's not many ranks there, so he might be actually higher up. So 6000 might be relevant, but wait until the final character is gonna be. That's why I'm saying the power levels is not fair in this anime. Next is Ichigo when he's having his peak of powers, Rukia's peak, when he was close to the death. So let's dive into this one. It's gonna be one and only, because now he lost of that power, so whatever powers he will regain is completely different than that. So I can discuss that state as well, because why not? This is gonna be really crazy, because the most characters, if this power lift, is gonna have Ichigo just different states. That's what I'm having a feeling, that's what I'm also worrying about. So let's start. Minimum strength of Ichigo when in his peak is gonna be the strength of Renji, because he literally overwhelmed him to the point that he would win the fight if Byakuya will not intervene. So minimum strength of Ichigo is gonna be Renji's average strength. He also was pretty wounded, so I'm not gonna use maximum strength of Renji. Here it's gonna be 6000. In case of the maximum strength on the peak, he's still, during the whole situation, Ichigo couldn't beat Renji with a one punch. Renji was somehow defending himself, means he cannot win with a one punch. With Renji, maximum strength of Ichigo in his peak gonna be 12,000. Simple as, and that gives average strength of him as 9000. That's it. That's gonna be Ichigo's peak. And that's already higher than the Menos though. Next and last character is the captain Byakuya itself, the guy who stopped Ichigo, who was basically responsible for all of that tragedy, because if not him, if that would be only Renji, that will somewhat survive. So yeah, that's the culprit. Minimum strength of the Byakuya is gonna be, obviously, he stopped Ichigo speak easily. First attack was basically to save Renji when he was when he was attempting to destroy his weapon, that he will not harm Renji at all. Full success. And then when he was fighting Ichigo, full success. So both occasions he literally was fighting not seriously, because he didn't release his swords like Renji did, so he is not fighting seriously. Also one punch in both scenario, both targets accomplished. So I have no other option than just give him his minimum strength as 20 times Ichigo's peak, and that's crazy because that's literally giving him 120,000 strength, and that's a minimum strength. Compared with the remaining top one is 9,000, not even 10,000, not even 5-digit number, and he's already getting 6-digit number, which is crazy. That's why do not like literally the power scaling here, because the strength increasing exponentially too much. Feeling like first arc we got into this range of strength, the second arc we gonna multiply everything by 3, next arc what, and again multiplier. It is like every character from the next arc can overwhelm every single character from the previous arc. I'm worried about that. I'm gonna continue see what's gonna happen, but yeah, this is really literally worrying me. So Captain Byakuya, no maximum strength yet, 120,000 plus for Byakuya. Let's check the rankings. So we're having overall 23 characters total, which the weakest one is the Hollows. We could add the human average strength, which will be strength of 1, but I do believe with this kind of exponential boost of strength with every next character, I believe strength of 1 is really insignificant at this point. So we're having Hollows, then we're having Kanonji and Tatsuki being slightly stronger than a Hollow, being still a human, and it is clearly shown that even if you train hard, become a boxer or spiritual medium, you're not gonna surpass, you're not gonna be at such a level that you can beat Hollow with a one punch. Tatsuki, Kanonji though, I'm putting Tatsuki higher here only because she's a boxer. Her physicality is stronger. Obviously, Kanonji's spiritual energy is there, and yeah, Kanonji would have an upper hand if Tatsuki cannot see the Hollows. But I know she can actually see the Hollows already, so yeah, she will be more than sufficient to beat Kanonji. I'm not seeing, because the spiritual energy take time, it's slow, and and Tatsuki, we saw how she handled the kids that are at the school, that's still kids, yes. Then we getting this Numb Hollow, which is one of the weakest named Hollows, and yeah, he can beat other Hollows, that's about it. I mean, okay, he attacked the weakest characters, got lost there, so yeah. Then we getting Inoue, who get herself quite a significant boost, apparently due to Ichigo's influence. Yet again, she is under training, so we do not know her full capabilities. Anyway, I hope she will get some kind of IQ as well, or at least battle combat knowledge on her training, because she is not too smart in case of fighting. For at least the rest, I don't really care that much, because she is about to join fighting. If she will not keep fighting, obviously the better, to go to school and learn more stuff. She's still only 15, Then we're having Shriek. Can he overwhelm Inoue? I don't know, it's only her minimum strength, but he clearly can overwhelm every other characters. And then we're getting the Fishbone and Chad. That's what we get in. Chad is getting the first character who is actually very close to 100 strength, which means dealing with Hollow with a certain ease. Ichigo top 15 now, surpassing the strength of 100, which is significant boost. And yeah, then we're having another Hollow. Let's skip that Hollow. Then we're getting Kon in Ichigo's body. Alright, it's just, the substitute that Ichigo can release his spiritual form. So it's not really like, it's more like a funny character than some kind of significant. Then we're having Ishida. It's those 3 characters which is going now. So position number 12, 11, and 10, which is Ishida, Rukia, and Ichigo as a Soul Reaper. All of them are equally equally strong. However, I have changed Rukia's strength because I really don't like when Renji is calling her an elite in the case of Soul Reaper, and Renji is so strong compared to what we just discovered here, which means Rukia can also tap in some kind of serious power-ups. Also, when I just rethink about Rukia's strength, what she intervened, all of that, she didn't showing, she was just protecting Ichigo at that point. She didn't showing much of her strength. Sadly, the hollow, bite her, which was sad. It is really hard. I do believe Rukia can show us more. If not, she will obviously remain at 150. Unless I'm wrong, let me know in a comment what do you think about Rukia. Then it's Ichigo. That strength is pretty significant, and yet then we getting Acid Wire Hollow and Saido, the guy who was after Rukia. And then we get into top 8 who can easily with one punch, not fighting seriously, beat a Hollow. This starting with a Saido, this filler character. Then we go into the chat again with chat. His human form, let's call it that way, is already extra strong on 96, and then he got boosted by some kind of spiritual power. However, to the Grand Fisher he is literally no match. So unless we're gonna find his maximum strength, because Grand Fisher number 6 is already super crazy strong, right? Probably one of the strongest hollows which I know so far. Then we getting Rukia awakened powers with Kurosaki Ichigo. Basically Kurosaki Ichigo when he mastered Rukia's strength, and he can tap in some kind of serious phase. So it is already, we can see 4500, and we can see when he was super wounded, when he was fighting Grand Fisher, when he tapped to that form, he was able to easily wound that Fisher and force him to run away. And that when he was extremely wounded. So if he will be fully healed, tapping that kind of state, Grand Fisher stand no chance, in my humble opinion. However, it still has to be serious attack, because not fighting seriously, he is not able to beat Grand Fisher. Then we're getting the Menos Grande, and that's why I'm thinking my classification of a Menos Grande is kind of correct, because Ichigo, when he awakened his power, he was able to push back Menos Grande to where he come from. And yeah, he didn't beat him up, he didn't wound him to the certain point, he can still walk, which means Menos Grande is supposed to be stronger than him. And him being at 5500 when Ichigo is 4500 is exactly that. Which is why I want to leave it as it is. It is great. Then we're getting Renji top 3, and he is only slightly stronger than Menos Grande, so his perception that Ichigo could win with a Menos Grande when Byakuya said that was he couldn't take it, because that will put him close to his strength. That means he will have to fight seriously to beat Ichigo, and he was having such a ease fighting him, which is why in his head is that it's joke, until he tapped into those powers, and then he literally have to fight seriously. Kurosaki Ichigo's peak is number 2, and I do believe this is only just to show off, just to boost up the hype for the next character, which is top 1, which is Byakuya. It is like Zoro fighting Mr. 1 when he was tapping to his, I do believe that is kind of hacky powers when he was able to cut steel. I think the same happened now with Ichigo, and we saw in Zoro that he couldn't tap into that power further so many episodes on. So I think Ichigo will have exactly the same. Byakuya guy, apparently a captain. I don't know, I put captain in his name. I don't know if that's gonna be relevant or not. His strength is overwhelming. I have no idea if Ichigo literally want to invade that kind of to save Rukia. If that guy gonna show up, what he gonna do after 10 days of training when he lost all of that his power? So this 9000 is erased literally. So him tapping into his powers, what he can do? Which is why I'm thinking this is impossible. However, I also know that every next arc, base of this, because this is like, I don't know if this is the entrance to the next arc. That's my perception for now, because this boost in strength is just out of this world. And they literally come from other world. So on that note, don't forget to like, bell, subscribe, leave a comment. What do you think about it? Am I right or not? Maybe in your opinion I went overboard, or maybe not enough. And let me know in a comment. We can talk about that. Also, let me know in a comment if I missed some characters. Would you like to put it there? Thank you so much, and see you in the next video.